A laboratory is a very specific type of organization. They not only have normal managerial issues that shall comply with, that shall challenge and manage and handle it, but also they have a lot of technical issues that they are facing every day. So any tool that they are going to use shall help them in both aspects. This also applies to managerial tools that is going to be used in any laboratory. ISO IEC 17025 is a subject, is a tool that is going to help any laboratory to manage both sides. In fact, ISO 17025, or let's call it in the complete way, ISO/IEC 17025 2017 is an international management standard. Of course, they don't call it management standard, but it is a management standard which tries to manage both managerial issues and also give a framework for managing technical ones. My name is Hossein Temuri. I'm an industrial engineer with almost 20 years of experience in different industries. I've been working as an operator and also a manager in laboratories for something like 5 to 6 years. And I have some experience, some knowledge, and some knowledge that I would like to share with you in this very short video. This standard was first issued in 1999, then it was revised in 2005, and the third version, which is the current version, was issued in 2017. So that's why we call it 17025 or 2017. This standard includes around 10 clauses, starting from clause 0 to clause 8, and also we have 2 annexes. In clause 0, 1, 2, and 3, which are the basic clauses of the standard, we have something like basic issues and basic points that any user, any reader of the standard should know about. Issues such as what are the objectives of the standard? What is the application of this standard? Let's say, what is the scope of this standard? What are the normative references used in the standard? And also, what are the key terms and definitions that are used in this standard? Then, from clause 4 to 8, we have 5 main clauses. These 5 main clauses, which are the most popular ones, I should say the mostly referred to clauses, are the clauses which include different requirements. In clause 4, which is called general requirements, is talking about a couple of key points. Key points such as confidentiality and impartiality. These are the issues that is talked about, is reviewed in this clause of the standard. It the standard says that a laboratory shall be able to act impartially. A laboratory shall keep the key information and customer information confidential. Then in clause 5, which is called structural requirements, the standard talks about the structure of any laboratory. It talks about the organization chart of the laboratory, their responsibilities, authorities, roles, and the things like that. Then in clause 6, which is called resource management, the standard is talking about, is giving a lot of requirements that shall be applied to resources. What are the resources of a laboratory? A laboratory has a wide range of resources, including hardwares, softwares, people, and even documented information. Okay, The standard requires the laboratory to maintain its softwares, maintain its hardwares, identify the competencies needed for any employee, and trying to provide the competency gaps, to fill the competency gaps, and try to improve the competency of the personnel. The standard requires the laboratory to identify all the documented information needed and try to give a unique identity to each documented information, and try to manage the producing, using, and disposing of these documented informations. Then we have maybe the most important clause of the standard, which is clause 7, which is called process requirements or process management. Maybe you ask, what is meant by process here? Which process is this standard talking about? It's talking about the main process of any laboratory. What is it? It is testing or calibrating. If you remember, I just told you that we have, or if you know, we have two types of laboratories. Testing laboratories, calibration laboratories. In testing laboratories, or a testing laboratory tests a material, I don't know, a machine, a device, and things like that, and compares the result with the standard sometimes, and gives the result on that, produces a test report. But on the other side, a calibration laboratory tests the testing machines, the testing instruments. So in fact, the testing laboratories shall get their device, their instruments calibrated by a calibrating laboratory. Also, quality control departments or any other measuring or monitoring system or department who is using or who are using any measurement or monitoring instrument shall also refer to this kind of calibration laboratories. Why? To get their device, their instrument calibrated. What is meant by calibration? Calibration means to identify the deviation between the true value and the readings. I mean, when you get your instrument calibrated, you receive a calibration report, and on that report it is written that how much deviation your measurement instrument has. So let's come back to the main topic. I was going to give a little introduction about clause 7. In clause 7 we have topics like how to sign a contract or receive an order from the client of the laboratory. I mean, the standard says to the laboratory, you should not accept to do any type of testing or any type of operation. You should ensure that you can do it. And before you accept the order, before you accept the contract, you should do a kind of feasibility study, a kind of it. Of course, it doesn't write specifically the term feasibility, but it requires something like that. You should do a kind of review. This is what the standard requires. You should review the order you receive. You should review the contract you are offered to. You should review the tender documents and make sure that you can do it before you actively participate in the tender and sign the contract. Also, in this clause, the standard is talking about choosing the right testing method or calibration methods. Calibration or testing methods could be standard, could be non-standard. I mean, you can use national or internationally recognized testing methods, but you can also make a change in them, or you can create your own testing methods, but you need to validate them. So we have something called method validation in this clause. Also, we have something else called method verification, which is much easier than method validation. By method verification, we mean the laboratory shall ensure that an accepted, an international or national testing method is also usable and applicable in my laboratory too. But when we are talking about testing method validation, we are talking about a changed, a modified, or a new testing method which has not been used by anybody else. And this is my laboratory who's going to use it for the first time. So I should make sure scientifically that it can produce reliable results. By testing method validation, I mean I should do scientific researches and activities to ensure that this method is reliable. Anyway, There are some other issues which are talked about in clause 7. So we had contract review or tender review or order review. We have testing methods. We also have assigning people. We also have performing the test, handling the testing item or calibration item, and then we have test reporting. What kind of test reports we can issue? What are the ingredients? What topics? What information should be on the test report? Can we put the interpretation on the test report too? Can we put measurement uncertainty values on the test method too, on the test result too? Is it a must? Is it an option? Is it not acceptable? What are the requirements? The standard talks about these things. And then how to send it to the client, to the lab client. These are the topics that are covered in clause 7, from order review or contract review to choosing the right testing method, the right person, performing the test, preparing the test result, sending it to the client. This is the process that I was talking about. Then, now, let's go to clause 8. In clause 8, the standard talks about management system. The standard gives two options. Option 1, option 2. One of the options is to use ISO 9001. The other option is to use 8 main procedures, or let's say processes or concepts. Of course, the easier one is just using the 8, just covering those 8 topics. Please be careful not to mistake these 8 with the 8 clauses of the standard. When we are talking about 8 concepts or 8 procedures, we are talking about document management or document and record management, document and information management, let's say, corrective action, improvement, internal audit, management review, risk and opportunities, and 2 other ones. But what is the other option? The other option is using or implementing the thorough, the complete ISO 9001, which is of course a more challenging option compared to the other one. Anyway, the ISO IEC 17021 gives this authority, leaves this decision to the lab to decide. Do you want to go for the big or the complete management system? Do you want to go for ISO 9001? Okay, go for it. If you do not have the time, if you do not have the resources, or for any other reason, if you do not want to go for that big option, you can go for the smaller option, for the easier option, which is just covering those 8 topics. So clause 8 just talks about option 1 or option A and option B. Option A and option B are discussed and detailed in Annex 2 of the standard. So you definitely would understand that this standard has at least 2 annexes. Annex A of the standard is called Meteorological Traceability. In this annex, the standard tries to help the laboratory to make sure that the testing or the measurement that the lab does is traceable to international chain or international sources or resources. Of course, it has 3 main sub-clauses, but maybe one of the most important one is how to ensure that the measurement that you do, the testing that you do is acceptable internationally. So the standard gives 3 specific ways or offers 3 different and very interesting ways and options to make sure that your testing is traceable nationally and internationally. Please, for the detail, go to the standard and read it. And the last part of the standard is Annex B. I think I talked about Annex B. Annex B is the annex that was elaborating those management system options, especially the option of 8 procedures. In this very short video, I tried to give a summary of the standard ISO IEC 17025, the 2017 version. If it is interesting for you, if you like it, if you want to know more about it, I invite you to attend the full training course, which is 2 days, and we talk in detail about the standard, and its applications, the process of implementations. We give you a lot of points about how to implement it, what are the challenges, what are the risks, and we give you different types of formats and procedures so that you can, of course, review them, then customize it and use it. Because nobody can claim that he has a already prepared set of procedures that could be used in any type of organizations, including the labs. So we may be able to give you a lot of examples, but at the end of the day, it is you who should read it, review it, customize it, and then use it. Hope to see you there.